Book 19. Telemachus and Odysseus remove the armor. Odysseus interviews Penelope. Euryclea washes his feet and recognizes the scar on his leg. Penelope tells her dream to Odysseus. Odysseus was left in the cloister pondering on the means whereby with Athena's help he might be able to kill the suitors. Presently he said to Telemachus, Telemachus, we must get the armor together and take it down inside. Make some excuse when the suitors ask you why you have removed it. Say that you have taken it to be out of the way of the smoke, inasmuch as it is no longer what it was when Odysseus went away, but has become soiled and begrimed with soot. Add to this more particularly that you are afraid Zeus may set them on to quarrel over their wine, and they may do each other some harm, which may disgrace both banquet and wooing, for the sight of arms sometimes tempts people to use them. Telemachus approved of what his father had said, so he called nurse Euryclea and said, Nurse, shut the woman up in their room, while I take the armor that my father left behind him down into the storeroom. No one looks after it now my father is gone, and it has got all smirched with soot during my own boyhood. I want to take it down where the smoke cannot reach it. I wish, child, answered Euryclea, that you would take the management of the house into your own hands altogether, and look after all the property yourself. But who is to go with you and light you to the storeroom? The maids would have done so, but you would not let them. The strangers, said Telemachus, shall show me a light. When people eat my bread, they must earn it, no matter where they come from. Euryclea did as she was told, and bolted the woman inside their room. Then Odysseus and his son made all haste to take the helmets, shields, and spears inside, and Athena went before them with a gold lamp in her hand, that she shed a soft, brilliant radiance, whereon Telemachus said, Father, my eyes behold a great marvel. The walls with the rafters, crossbeams, and the supports on which they rest are all aglow, as with flaming fire. Surely there is some god here who has come down from heaven. Hush, answered Odysseus, hold your peace and ask no questions, for this is the manner of the gods. Get to your bed and leave me here to talk with your mother and the maids. Your mother, in her grief, will ask me all sorts of questions. On this Telemachus went by torchlight to the other side of the inner court to the room in which he always slept. There he lay in his bed till morning, while Odysseus was left in the cloister pondering on the means whereby, with Athena's help, he might be able to kill the suitors. Then Penelope came down from her room looking like Aphrodite or Artemis, and they set her a seat inlaid with scrolls of silver and ivory near the fire in her accustomed place. It had been made by Icamalius. It had a footstool all in one piece with the seat itself, and it was covered with a thick fleece. On this she now sat, and maids came from the woman's room to join her. They set about removing the tables at which the wicked suitors had been dining, and took away the bread that was left with the cups from which they had drunk. They emptied the embers out of the braziers, and heaped much wood up upon them to give both light and heat. But Melantho began to rail at Odysseus a second time, and said, Stranger, do you mean to plague us by hanging about the house all night and spying upon the woman? Be off, you wretch, outside, and eat your supper here, or you shall be driven out with a firebrand. Odysseus scowled at her, and answered, My good woman, why should you be so angry with me? It is because I am not clean and my clothes are in rags, and because I am obliged to go begging about after the manner of tramps and beggars generally. I, too, was a rich man once, and I had a fine house of my own. In those days I gave so many a tramp, so such now I am. No matter who he might be, nor what he wanted, I had any number of servants, and all the other things which people who have lived well are now accounted wealthy. But it pleased Zeus to take all that away from me. Therefore, woman, beware lest you come too close to that pride and place in which you now wanton above your fellows. Have a care lest you go out of favor with your mistress, and lest Odysseus should come home, for there is still a chance that he may do so. Moreover, though he be dead as you think he is, yet by Apollo's will he has left a son behind him, Telemachus, who will note anything done amiss by the maids in the house, for he is now no longer in his boyhood. Penelope heard what he was saying and scolded the maid. Impudent baggage, said she, I see how abominably you are behaving, and you shall smart for it. You know perfectly well, for I told you myself that I was going to see the stranger and ask him about my husband, for whose sake I am in such a continual sorrow. Then she said to her head-waiting woman, Eurynome, bring a seat with a fleece upon it for the stranger to sit upon while he tells his story and listens to what I have to say. I wish to ask him some questions. Eurynome brought the seat at once and set a fleece upon it, and as soon as Odysseus had sat down, Penelope began by saying, Stranger, I shall first ask you, who and whence are you? Tell me of your town and parents. Madam, answered Odysseus, who on the face of the whole earth can dare to child with you? Your frame reaches the firmament of heaven itself. You are like some blameless king who upholds righteousness as the monarch over a great nation and valiant nation. The earth yields its wheat and barley, the trees are loaded with fruit, and ewes bring forth lambs, and the sea abound with fish by reason of his virtues, and his people do good deeds under him. Nevertheless, as I sit here in your house, ask me some other question, and do not seek to know my race and family, or you will recall memories that will yet more increase my sorrow. I am full of heaviness, but I ought not to sit weeping and wailing in another person's house, nor is it well to be thus grieving continually. I shall have one of the servants, or even yourself, complaining of me, saying that my eyes swim with tears because I am heavy with wine. Then Penelope answered, Stranger, heaven robbed me of all my beauty, whether of face or figure, when the Argives set sail for Troy, my dear husband with them. If you were to return and look after my affairs, I should be both more respected, should show a better presence to the world. As it is, I am oppressed of care and the afflictions which heaven has seen fit to heap upon me. The chiefs from all our islands, Dulichium, Same, and Zakynthos, as also from Ithaca itself, are wooing me against my will and are wasting my estates. I can therefore show no attention to strangers, nor suppliants, nor to people who say that they are skilled artisans, but am all the time broken-hearted about Odysseus. They want me to marry again at once, and I have to invent stratagems in order to deceive them. In the first place, heaven put in my mind to set up a great timber frame in my room to begin working upon an enormous piece of needlework. Then I said to them, Sweethearts, Odysseus is indeed dead. Still do not press me to marry again immediately. Wait, for I would not have my skill in needlework perish unrecorded till I have finished making up all for the hero Laertes, to be ready against the time when death shall take him. He is very rich, and the women of the place will talk if he is laid out without a pall. This was what I said, and they assented. Whereon I used to keep working at my great web all day long, but at night I would unpack the stitches again by torchlight. I fooled them in this way for 3 years without their finding it out, but as time wore on, I was now in my 4th year and waning of moons, and many days had been accomplished. Those good-for-nothing hussies, my maids, betrayed me to the suitors who broke in upon me and caught me. They were very